Okay, so first thing we gotta do is cover order of operations. You guys have seen this before, hopefully. But the idea here is that you're gonna see different operations. And when I say operations, I mean like multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. You're gonna see those and you gotta know the correct order in which to do them. It's not like this is objectively right, like it has to be done this way. This is just how we have decided that we would like to do math. And this has actually changed within the last 100 years. They didn't used to do it this way, which is kind of weird, but whatever. So when you do this, you got to do parentheses first. So if you have anything inside of parentheses, like for example, the 1 plus 2 here, you have to do that first. Then if you have exponents, like this right here, you're squaring something, you have to do that first. And then after that, you do multiplication and division, but it's not like multiplication comes first, then division. It's when you read from left to right, whichever one happens to occur first, you do that one. And we've got some examples that'll, we'll show you that. So let's just kind of work through our examples here. So the first example is 2 plus 3 times 4. So you've got multiplication and addition here. So the question is, which one comes first? Well, the multiplication and division come before addition and subtraction. So make sure you do those multiplication first. So 3 times 4 is 12. So this will be 2 plus 12. And then you can just add that and you'll get 14. And that's it for that example. How about this one? So you got parentheses and multiplication. So the parentheses has to come first. So I'm going to do 4 times, and then I'm just going to do what's inside the parentheses. 1 plus 2 is 3. 4 times 3 is 12. And that's it. Next one, you have 2 minus 3 plus 4. So this is an example where you have addition and subtraction at the same time, and you don't necessarily do the addition first. You do whatever comes first when you're reading from left to right. So if you're starting here and you're going this way, then you're going to run into the subtraction first, then the addition. So we're going to do it in that order, from left to right. So 2 minus 3 is negative 1, and then we're going to add 4 to that. Negative 1 plus 4 is 3. If you do it the other way, you will get a different answer, right? Like if you do 3 plus 4 first, you're going to get 7, and then when you do 2 minus 7, you're going to get negative 5, okay? Which I think is actually the next example down here. Sorry, there's a loud truck going behind me. But on this one, we did it in parentheses, so they put the 3 plus 4 in parentheses. So if you put the 3 plus 4 in parentheses, you get 7, and then 2 minus 7 is negative 5, okay? On this one, you have parentheses, exponents, and subtraction. So we're going to do what's inside the parentheses first. We're going to leave everything else alone. Then we're going to do the exponent. 5 squared is 5 times 5. It's 25. And then 25 minus 6 is 19. On this one, you've got addition, multiplication, subtraction, and division. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the multiplication and division first from left to right. So this is going to be 2 plus 12 minus 6 divided by 2. So we only did the multiplication. Next, we're going to do division. So this will be 2 plus 12 minus 6 divided by 2 is 3. Then we're going to do addition, because it comes first on the left. So we have 14 minus 3, and then 14 minus 3 is 11. Okay, how about this one here? 2 plus 4 times 1 minus 3. So we have to do parentheses first. So 1 minus 3 is negative 2. So then we have 2 plus 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. So this is really like 2 minus 8, which is negative 6. Okay, how about this one? Yeah, they start to get more and more difficult here. So on this one, you've got parentheses inside of parentheses. So the general rule is that you do whatever is in the innermost parentheses first. So I'm going to do 20 divided by parentheses 4 minus, and then I'm going to actually just evaluate what's inside the parentheses here. So like this 10 minus 8 is 2. Okay, and then we're just going to repeat the process. We still have parentheses here, right? So we're going to do that first. So we're going to do 20 divided by, and then we're going to do 4 minus 2 in those parentheses, which is 2. And then 20 divided by 2 is 10. Okay, so that would be 10. Totally simplified on that. How about example 9 here? So example 9, We've got subtraction, division, addition, and multiplication. So we're going to do the multiplication and division first from left to right. So we're going to do 6 minus 12 divided by 3 is 4. And then we're going to do plus 2 times 5. Now we're going to do the multiplication. So this would be 6 minus 4 plus 2 times 5 is 10. Now we have subtraction and addition. We're going to read from left to right. We don't necessarily do addition before subtraction. We read from left to right. So 6 minus 4 is 2, plus 10 is going to give you 12 for that. Next thing we're going to cover, if you flip over to the back side of your notes here, is the distributive property. So the distributive property is kind of interesting, actually. And if you want to be able to do quick mental math with large multiplication numbers, the distributive property will really help you with this. So what we're going to do here is, instead of doing 3 times 52, you could rewrite the multiplication like this. You could say, hey, 3 times 52 is really 3 times, and then inside the parentheses, 50 plus 2. Since 50 plus 2 is really the same thing as 52, we haven't changed the number that we're eventually going to get, even though we changed the expression we're working with, right? So this looks a little different from this, but they're the same number. So what's cool about this is that when you write it like this, when you do 3 times 50 plus 2 like this, what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 times 50 and then 3 times 2, and we're going to add those together. So we're going to do 3 times 50 plus 3 times 2. This is what the distributive property lets you do. And 3 times 50 is 150, and then 3 times 2 is 6. And if you can break these apart, you can do these in your head pretty quickly, so which is really nice. So this would be 156. So if you can imagine in your head doing the 3 times the 50, right? 3 times the 50 and then 3 times the 2, you can add the 150 plus the 6, you can get 156. So the rest of the examples are just, kind of examples of this. So, could you maybe do 4 times 213 in your head? Well, so 4 times 213 is really kind of like 4 times 200 plus 10 plus 3. And then if we distribute this 4 to everybody, we're going to get 4 times 200 is 800, 4 times 10 is 40, and then 4 times 3 is 12. So what's 800 plus 40 plus 12? Well, it would be 840, and then if you add 12 to that, you'd get 852. And you can do that all without a calculator, which is kind of nice. All right, let's look at a few more examples. So another example here of the distributive property, and I will do this a lot too when I have numbers, large numbers, is you can do subtraction. So instead of thinking of 6 times 97, you could think of 97 as 100 minus 3. Or, if you want, you could do 6 times 90 plus 7. That's fine. Like, either one would work. It's just a matter of preference. So if you do this, you get 6 times 100 is 600, and then 6 times negative 3 is minus 18. So 600 minus 18 is 582. Okay, so it's just a nice quick way to think of multiplication. Okay, and then we got some variables here, right? So we have some stuff with an x in it. So how would you simplify 3 times x minus 4 plus x minus 2 times 5? So we're going to use the distributive property. We're going to do 3 times x, that's going to be 3x. 3 times negative 4, that's negative 12. And then we're going to do, the 5 is going to be distributed into both of these things. So 5 times x is 5x, and then 5 times negative 2 is minus 10. And now what we're going to do is we're going to combine like terms. You guys should have talked about this last year, but anything that's the same type of number, we're going to combine those. So 3x plus 5x would be 8x, and then negative 12 minus 10 would be minus 22. Okay, how about this one? Example, simplify. Okay, so yeah, we're just going to distribute here. If you would like, it's a little easier to do order of operations and combine the 4 and the negative 7. It doesn't really matter. Maybe it saves you a step. I'm just going to distribute to everybody in here. just for practice on distributing. So this -2, by the way, this is a -2, not +2, is going to multiply everything in here. So -2 times 4 would give you -8. -2 times -x would give you +2x, because you're multiplying the two negatives together. -2 times -7 gives you +14. So that's that part. The next part in the red here is we're going to distribute this negative sign, okay? This negative has to multiply everything. It's basically a -1 here, is the way to think about it. So if you do -1 times x, you get -1x. I'm just going to write -x. -1 times 5 gives you -5, and then -1 times -6 gives you +6. So that's that red part there. Now we're going to combine like terms, so we're looking for things that are the same. So the x's are the same kind of thing, and then these are all, in the green, these are all my numbers. So our final answer here would be, how many x's do we have? We have 2x minus 1x, so that's going to be 1x from the yellow. And then if you add up all the numbers, the things that are underlined in green, you have -8 plus 14, what is that, 6 minus 5. So this is 6, minus 5 would be 1, plus 6 would be 7. So this whole big mess just turns out to be x plus 7 when you simplify it. All right, let's do a couple more. Okay, so another thing about the distributive property is that it only works if you have addition inside, okay? You cannot distribute. You can't be like, oh, this is 3 times 4 plus 3 times 5. No, it's because there's multiplication here on the inside. So the way this works is you do the multiplication on the inside, right? Because order of operations, parentheses first. You have 3 times 20, and then 3 times 20 is 60. Okay, so that's it. You cannot do not do 3 times 4 plus 3 times 5. Do not do that. That is not correct. Okay. How about this one? Same thing with division, right? So you can't just do 3 times 20 minus or divided by 3 times 5 or something like that. That doesn't work. You got to do what's inside the parentheses, and then you multiply. Okay, so 20 divided by 5 is 4. 3 times 4 is 12. Okay, I think this is just a little note here. Yep, so that's what I just said there. Okay.